Welcome to another tutorial video for Atlantic Chase. We're up to number 4 this time, but if anyone has been paying attention, you might notice this and say, hey, wait a minute, that's the setup for tutorial 3, right? And yes, it is the thing. I wanted to do a preface here because I omitted some details here. And the reason I did that was in my zeal to avoid intel markers by coming into here and getting rid of intel markers before he could actually do anything with them. I neglected some rules and neglected to provide an example of what would happen if he did do that signals action. So here, let's set this up again. Let's hypothetically say I did this, and I still wouldn't want to go in here because that would he would just win right there. So let's make it a little more interesting. Let's say we went here, here, and of course you get the intel marker because it's a base and it's an airfield. It's a port. That's what I meant. That's probably the word I need to use. And then I would have done like that, and then it would have passed. And passed. That would have happened. And then let's just, for argument's sake, that British rolled to do a signals action. Now the thing about the signals action is you don't have to be in the hex with the intel marker. It just has to be an intel marker anywhere on the board, and you can just declare a signals action, and what'll happen, you pick a task force on there, and there's only one here, so we'll pick this one. It's got the intel marker, so we can do a signal. You can't do it if there's no intel marker. That would have gotten rid of all that, and that would have been replaced with that. And remember, an intel marker cannot be on a station, only on a segment, a trajectory segment. And that's what happened. And then he's thinking, okay, now I need a trajectory over and get in this space here by passing. Now here's the thing. We talked about trajectories and making trajectories, this action here, making trajectories. You keep the initiative when you do that. You can make a trajectory here, you have another task force over here, you can make a trajectory, you can keep just doing that as much as you want, and you never give up the initiative. And then we have the pass. When I had that trajectory like that and I took 2 off, now that always gives the initiative to the other guy. Obviously it's a pass, so you're giving up the initiative. Now with the signals action is a little different. It does not automatically give up the initiative, but it doesn't but there is a possibility you can still keep going. What'll happen is he'll do his signal action, and now I have an opportunity, as the Germans in this case, to seize the initiative. And the way I do that is I would roll 2 dice, and if I hit a 9 or higher, the initiative goes over to me, and then it'd be my turn. Now here's the thing, if I roll less than a 9, what would have happened is, let me back this up a little, this little tally initiative marker would have gone up 1 for a bonus. So I failed the initiative, and so he gets to go again, but he might do some kind of action that allows me to try to seize the initiative again. And if I took it, I would roll the dice again, this time adding +1 to the dice, hopefully getting to that 9. If I had failed again, it would have gone up, it would have gone up, and it would go up. And so eventually he's not going to be able to keep the initiative. And when that happens, anytime the initiative goes back to me, this would jump back down. And of course, if it was the British, he's got the red side there, and you just track it like that. And that's basically it. There is another option. Let's say he did the signals action. It's my turn. I have a choice to seize the initiative. I don't have to do it. I can refuse it. And the advantage of doing that is I get this evasive maneuvers marker. And then I attach it to my task force down here in the little box, which I've showed before. And you can spend it. You have opportunities to spend it to add die roll modifiers. There's a few things you can do with it. But I just wanted to illustrate that because I did forget it in the last episode, and I apologize for that. I was being very competitive. It says, I don't want them having intel on me anywhere. I'm going to get through here. And I forgot we're trying to learn this game, not necessarily beat this game. In this case. Anyway, we will move on to tutorial number 4 now. So the premise of tutorial 4, I'll read it to you. War is less than a month old, and the German commander is keen to lure British naval assets into a vulnerable position. He orders one of his modern battle cruisers here as if to threaten a breakout into the North Atlantic, or perhaps a raid on the trade route here. At least that's the opinion of Admiral Forbes of the Home Fleet. Here. He dare not send capital ships under German airspace. Here. However, it is vital British commerce across the North Sea continue without molestation. So there we have it. I'll show you the task force. I can get it to focus. We have the Gneisenau and the Kolm. One fast battle cruiser and a fast light cruiser. This route here is just a convoy, a very slow convoy. And the task force up here are 2 fast battle cruisers, the Hood and Repulse. Now, the way this thing ends is if either the British or the Germans do a completion action. That is the new rule being added here. Completion actions. And basically what this is like getting your convoys into port. And it's a little different than just going to port. This is how you like generate victory points if your convoys can get through without being sunk. So the other way it can end, actually the Germans can also just withdraw and complete, and that'll end the scenario as well. And in fact, I almost think that's what's going to happen. Or the scenario can end if both of these guys are in the same spot. And that's going to start a battle, but we haven't gotten to the battle rules yet, so that wouldn't happen. Okay, and as you can see, we have a couple things. These will cause intel markers. These aren't going to move. And we see the first instance of the U-boats coming in. Okay. Yeah, this is a little Type 7 I asked my son to make. Yeah, isn't that neat? Pretty simple. I mean, I've seen some that are like the size of a dining room table with a full working dock and things like that. He didn't want to do that. What's the point of having children if they're going to make you a Type 7 life size? Anyway, let's start this scenario here. And the British start first. And the weather is good. And what would we do? I can either get this guy over here to see if we can try to intercept him before he leaves, or we can start working on doing the completion action. Now, I'll explain the completion action. First of all, you cannot complete. You would complete over here. We're going from here to here. We cannot complete when there's an intel marker. And that's why these intel markers are so important, because they really hinder what people can do and allow the person who has it on you to be able to do all kinds of things to you. And the other rule with completion is really simple. As long as you don't, if this, let's say that wasn't there, the magic number is 6. If you have 6 or less trajectory segments, you can do a completion action. And the other stipulation is one of the segments has to be in a port to do a completion. You can do it anywhere. And what it's going to do is take the task force out of play. And in the case of a convoy, it's usually going to generate victory points for you. Not in this case, it's just for learning. But you can, in some of the scenarios, you'll take out even like big task forces, and you'll be able to redeploy them in some cases, I believe. Haven't really looked at it too much. But there we go. Let's see. Was there another? Oh, yeah. Notice I'm using a little inset map. It's just a little one page. It's two-sided for kind of a microscopic view of this area here. Between this is Norway here and England over here. All right. So let's see. What do I want to do? Like I said, I can either start getting this guy to go for completion, or I can try to intercept here. Let's try completing. Now, I can't, obviously the first thing I have to do is get rid of this intel marker if I want to try this. Well, I'll tell you what, let's remember our rule. Trajectories do not give up the initiative. So it makes sense to maximize our turn before we pass. So why don't we make a trajectory with this guy, with our Task Force 1, or Task Force 0, I don't know what we're going to call it. I'll go like this. We're good, we're good, we're good. Now if we go in here, remember, if our trajectory goes into a space with a station, it's going to generate an intel marker. Let's go ahead and do that. Where's my intel markers? Pardon me. Okay, we did one. We do not lose initiative, so let's go ahead. Now let's do the pass. I'm going to pass with this one. And if you remember, normally with a very slow task force, you would take 2 segments off. However, we have an intel marker, so if you want that gone, you have to invoke the intel limit. The intel limit is 1, and we pass. And now the Germans have the initiative. As always, when we change initiative, we roll for weather. Weather stays the same. And now, re-roll to see what the Germans do. We have another little table here to follow. And he will generate what they're going to do. 5. 5, according to the table, that says do a trajectory action to Wilmhaven. Down here, which space is that? Okay. And then after that, because once again, trajectory does not give up the initiative, we're going to try a completion action. So, pop that out. There we go. 1, 2. And while we're on it, I'm not going to go over here because that would generate an intel marker. That's what that U-boat is going to do. The submarine would generate intel for the British if the Germans came in here. And, well, it would obviously, it wouldn't generate intel because these are my guys. We're allies. The mines is also German here. This would generate intel if the British came into it. And I need a couple more segments. And I guess it doesn't matter which one we go to. This one. And this one. Okay, trajectory action. Now we attempt the completion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are under the 6 limit. Magic number is 6. If it's over 6, I can't do the completion action. I don't have an intel marker. Yeah, and just a reminder, being in the same trajectory with 2 segments, that does not generate intelligence. It has to, if he was a station, it would, but not this time. Now, to complete, we roll 2 dice, or actually, whoops, forget a step. I declare I'm going to do a completion action. Now, here's where it gets important because the British get a seize initiative opportunity. And a seize initiative, like I talked about in my little preface from a couple minutes ago, they're going to roll 2 dice and try to roll a 9. I think it's a 9, or is it an 8? Let me double check. It's a 9. And now my option is I don't have to try to seize initiative. The British don't have to. They can try. Like I can take a evasive maneuver thing. Nope, but I want to try to stop them escaping. So the Germans roll 2 dice. They roll a 9. Good for them. Or I roll a 9. Wait a minute. The British, we rolled a 9. That's going to stop them from completing the doing the completion, and that puts us in the initiative. He has to do time lapse, and he's a fast fleet, so he's going to be like this. So we, as the British, roll for weather first. 6. It does change to bad. The weather goes bad. What? The North Sea has bad weather? Who thought? Oh, okay. Well, I think my option here is mainly trying to complete that. But once again, we might fail. So just for grins, let's economize our move, and we'll go ahead and do a trajectory action and extend this line. You can extend even though there's intel markers on it, of course. Boing, boing. I think we'll avoid this little airspace. What is that? Is that like on an island or something? Huh. Not sure what that is. I'll look it up later or something. Okay, we pop down here like this, and of course, we generate an intel marker. Like so. And now, like I said, trajectories do not yield up the initiative. We're going to try completion action. The Germans are going to try to stop us, I'm sure. Let me double check the bot and make sure that's exactly what he's going to do. I don't see anything here specifying. I'm going to just make a judgment for the bot, is because if I complete, the scenario's over and I basically win. So we're going to complete. Now remember, we're under the magic number 6. We have a segment in the port, and it's the port we're trying to get into. So we're going to do the completion action. Germans, of course, get a chance to seize the initiative. And they're going to roll 2 dice in their hope for 9 or better. 8. They missed it by 1 pip. Now, we'll reiterate. They failed that, and it's not going to matter because we're going to win this anyway, but we'll just go ahead and complete here. That would go up to +1, meaning the next time in my initiative, if he seizes again, he gets a +1, and if he failed, he would go to +2 and whatnot. But anyway, he failed. We come in, and the task force wins, and it gets a little, and you get a little episode ended. British convoy completed. Admiral Forbes is informed that 2 British destroyers collided heading out of the Humbar. They were accompanying a cruiser group that was slated to rendezvous with the Hood and the Repulse, which were then to sortie into the Skagerrak, don't ask me how to pronounce it, and engage the German raiders. He is then informed that a British submarine operating off the Horn Reef has mechanical malfunction and can't dive. He calls off the operation, but is keen to capitalize on future opportunities to deliver a blow to the Kriegsmarine. Yeah, I should point out, in all these tutorials, there's a little historical flavor in them, which I've kind of omitted. I guess I should just read those just for immersion. But anyway, that's it. And this is going to be a short episode. I think the future tutorials are starting to get a little thick rules-wise. So we want to spend a nice long time on them. Hopefully that demonstrates the completion action and reiterates a lot of the rules we've been talking about. And see you next video.